Good afternoon. My name is David Brown, and I am the chairman of the board of the Jewish United Fund. Thank you for everybody who is here today gathering for our vigil, and for those who spread the word. Look around you, look at the crowd that is gathered at noon at the Thompson Center in the middle of Chicago. And we're here for a serious issue and for a serious moment. We come together in solidarity with the families of the kidnapped Israeli teens. Naftali Frankel, Gilad Sha'ar, Eyal Yifrak, who were abducted 10 days ago from Israel. This kidnapping, as shocking as it is also the latest episode in a campaign of terror against Israel and the Jewish people. As it happens, just hours before the kidnapping, our Jewish Community Relations Council gathered over at the JUF building, and together with all the constituent organizations, we're debating the issues around the Palestinian unity government and about Hamas being part of it. The discussions were vivid, the discussions were passionate. Ultimately, the community coming together issued a statement indicating their direct ability to say that Hamas should not be part of the unity government. And then later that day, Hamas and its constituent terrors abducted 3 of our Israeli teens. We, as a community, both here in the diaspora, in Chicago, in the United States, standing with our Israelis, cannot stand for terror against the Jewish people, against our Israeli brothers and sisters, and against the state of Israel. Having a terrorist group as part of the Palestinian government with the idea that they are for reconciliation and a real two-state solution is just seemingly illogical. Instead, what we have seen from the Palestinian government is the glorification of the kidnapping. Official Palestinian Facebook pages by Hamas and by Palestinians in the street saying that this kidnapping is okay, saying that it's good, and even having the Palestinian Prime Minister and those in the United Nations denying that this kidnapping ever occurred. These examples indicate how confrontation, not reconciliation, has been nurtured in the West Bank and Gaza and remain obstacles to peace. In fact, as many of you know, they still teach hatred of Jews in their primary schools, in their cartoons, on their TV. Is this really a neighboring people that wants peace? Congress is in session today, but many members of our Illinois delegation have sent messages of support to this gathering and to the families of the kidnapped teens. Senator Dick Durbin wrote us, "My thoughts and prayers are with the families of the 3 Israeli teenagers that were kidnapped. I fully support efforts to find them and return them safely." And Senator Mark Kirk wrote, "I join in the prayers for the safe return of Gilad, Naftali, and Eyal. I support Israel's determined efforts to bring these young men home and hope for a successful outcome very soon." Please also join me in welcoming today 4 special Illinois public officials who are with us today. Director of the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services, Julie Hamos. Illinois State Senator Ira Silverstein. Illinois State Representative Scott Drury. And Alderman Deborah Silverstein. Our Chicago community is blessed by a vibrant and dedicated generation of young adults. Just look around you. For them, these kidnappings of their Israeli peers has had a special meaning. Every summer, JUF hires some 36 college students to learn about and to serve our Jewish community. Today's program, this vigil, was in large part conceived and organized by them, our Lewis College interns. We are proud of all of them. And I am pleased today to turn the rest of the program over to our Lewis College interns. At this time, I would like to introduce Mara, who's a senior from Brandeis University and an intern in JUF's Young Adult Engagement. Please welcome Mara Flack.
As a group of young interns and the next generation of Jewish leaders, we feel a connection with the teens held captive. We feel it is our duty to share our concern with the community and bring awareness to this injustice. They are our peers. They're somebody's son, somebody's classmates, and most importantly, they are human beings. The theme of today is to focus on these three boys as individuals. I would like to begin by speaking about Naftali. Naftali Frankel is a 16-year-old dual citizen of the United States and Israel. He is a passionate and gifted student studying at Me'or Chaim, a highly regarded yeshiva in Kfar Etzion. And today, his aunt shared he's supposed to be taking his biology exam. Naftali is the eldest of 7 children and is described by family as a combination of serious and fun. His talents include basketball and playing the guitar. Naftali's grandparents are originally from Brooklyn, and he considers New York his second home. Last Sunday night, 300 youth, including his 6 brothers, came together to pray for his safe return, just like we are doing today. When crisis happens, when there is a need, the Jewish people come together, and that is why we are here today. When the interns were called into a brainstorming session, our internships shifted from our individual responsibilities to a collaborative effort. The fact that these boys are from right to left on the political and religious spectrum only serves to show how the U.S. and Israel, like Naftali's heritage, can come together. Now, Rabbi Yonah Rice, Av Beit Din of the Chicago Rabbinical Council, will now recite a petition, or Misha Berach, for the health and welfare of the hostages.
Thank you. I'm going to recite the Misha Berach in Hebrew, followed by an English translation. Misha Berach Avoseinu, Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Moshe v'Aaron, David u'Shlomo. Hu yivarech es habachurim, hachatufim v'ashvuyim, b'dei oivenu, Gilad Michael ben Baskalim, Yaakov Naftali ben Rochel Devorah, Ayal ben Iris Teshua, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yishmerem v'yatzilei mikol tzara v'tzukah, u'mikol nega u'machala, v'yimalei rachamim aleim, lachlimam u'l'raposam, lachazikam u'l'achayosam, v'yotziyem b'mheira, l'cherus olam v'chazara, l'chek mishpechoseyem. Yizku li'arach yamim, Ushnos Chayim B'Ravos V'Shalom V'Zchus Avos Toshia Banim V'Kuyam B'Hem HaPasuk Hotzia Mimasger Nafshi Leodos Es Shemecha Hashta V'Agala U'Bizman Karib V'Nomar Amen. He who blessed our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Moses and Aaron, David and Solomon, may he bless the young men who are abducted and taken into captivity. Gilad Michael ben Baskalim Shar, Yaakov Naftali ben Rachel Devorah Frankel, and the Yal ben Iris Teshua Yifrach. May the Holy One bless this he, preserve and rescue these young men from every calamity and distress and from every plague and illness, and may he cause compassion to overflow upon them, to restore them, to heal them, to strengthen them, and to revive them, and to release them speedily to a permanent freedom, that they should be returned to the warmth of their families. May He grant to them extended days and long life through great might and peace. And in the merit of our forefathers, may the children be saved. And may there be fulfilled for them the verse, take my soul out of confinement to give thanks to your name right now, speedily and immediately. And let us respond, Amen. Amen.
Maskila David, Hiotob Me'arat Tfilah. Koli El Adonai Ezak Koli El Adonai Et Fanav. Eshpach Lefanav, Sifi Tzarati Lefanav Agi. V'hit Atav Alai, Ruchi V'ata Yadata. Niviati Ba'orech, Zu Ehelach, Tamnu Fa'achli. Habit Yamin, Ra'av Ein Li Makir Avad, Manos Mimeni, Ein Doresh Lenafshi. Za'ati Elecha Adonai Amarti Ata, Machsi Chelki Be'eretz HaChaim. Hakshiva Al Rinati Ki Deloti Me'od, Hatileni Mirod Fai Ki Amsu Mimeni. Hotia Mimesager, Nafshi Lohodot, Et Shimcha Bi Yikretu, Tzadikim Ki Tigmol Alai. Gilad Shar, who is 16 years old, is not only a student at the Mekor Chaim Yeshiva in Israel, but also a volunteer youth counselor that works with children. He is very attached to his siblings, whom he loves to bake for, in addition to helping around the house. His peers and teachers, as well as his sisters, love him very much. He also loves to read, listen to music, study hard, and spend time with his family, especially his grandparents. Like Gilad and the other two teens, I too was a yeshiva student in Israel, and I too spent time in the West Bank. When I think of these three teenagers, I not only think about how similar I am to them, but also that at any point during my year as a yeshiva student, I too could have been abducted. If I were in their shoes right now, I know that they would be advocating for my freedom and my safety.
I would now like to call on Mr. Robert Cathy, Professor of Theology at McCormick Seminary, and a valued partner in our interfaith dialogue.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Rabbi Michael Walensky for inviting a Presbyterian minister and theologian to speak to you today at a time when there's great troubles between our communities. And I want you to know that there are Presbyterians that do not believe what you hear coming from the General Assembly of the Church. I have a son, Paul, and one summer I gave him a copy of Jack Kerouac's book, On the Road, and he loved it, and he became a hitchhiker from his college in Minnesota back to Chicago. So I can identify with any parent who's concerned about what happens to our children in the streets, whether it's in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or on the West Bank or here in Chicago. Our son was fortunate to attend Chicago Public Schools, Whitney Young High School and Walter Payton High School, where he had many friends in the Jewish community. He was the co-founder of the Seinfeld Club at Walter Payton High School, which had overlapping membership with the Jewish Student Organization at Walter Payton. So his friends, Joey Fishman, Adam Fishman, and Nathan Shufton, together they went to Lollapalooza one summer. And Paul came back and said to me, "Dad, there was a wonderful poet, a musician at Lollapalooza, and I think his name was Madish Yahu." So Paul introduced me to the music and the poetry of Madish Yahu, and for my prayer, for my hope today, for the return, the safe return of these three teenagers, this is my prayer. One day. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, because I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let that get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. All my life, I've been waiting for, I have been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day. It's not about win or lose, because we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent, blood-drenched pavement. Keep on moving, though the waters stay raging. And in this maze, you may lose your way, and it might drive you crazy, but don't let it faze you, no way. One day this will all change. Treat people the same. Stop with the violence. Down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same sun, singing songs of freedom like one day, one day. One day. I pray for the coming of that day in Israel, in the Middle East, and in Chicago.
Hello, I'm Mia Kavensky, and I'm also a Lewis Summer Intern. I'm going to start with Psalm 142. A maskil of David, when he was in a cave, a prayer. With my voice, I cry out to the Lord. With my voice, I supplicate the Lord. I pour out before him my speech. My distress I recite before him. When my spirit enwraps itself upon me, and you know my path, in whichever way I go, they have hidden a snare for me. Looking to the right, I see that no one recognizes me. Escape is lost for me. No one seeks my soul. I cried out to you, O Lord, I said. You are my refuge, my lot in the land of the living. Hearken to my cry, for I have become very low. Save me from my pursuers, for they have empowered me. Take my soul out of confinement to give thanks to you, your name. Because of me, the righteous will crown you, because you will recompense me. Eyal Yifrach, who is 19 years old, is the eldest of 7 siblings. He opted to complete his last year of high school through a program targeting the development of cities with low socioeconomic status. He is described by his family as vital and energetic, and he loves to play sports such as tennis. Like Gilad, he is a youth counselor. While Gilad Shalit was captive to Hamas terrorists, Eyal raised awareness through Facebook. Now, he has been abducted by terrorists of the same organization, and we must do what we can to help free him. So now, I want you all to imagine a teenager dear to your heart. It could be your grandchild, a son, or a daughter, or a sibling. I want you all to picture them right now in your head, and think about what they are doing. Are they studying? Are they reading? Or maybe even they're spending time with their family. Now, what this person in mind was just kidnapped. Their life has been taken away. No more school, and no more family. Gilad, as well as the other 2 boys, are no different than this person you have in mind. I can't even begin to imagine the terror and the horror these boys have experienced these past 10 days. We must unite and pray for the rescue of these teens. We need to bring our boys back. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, freedom is the breath of life, and we must give these boys their chance to breathe back. Thank you. It is my pleasure to welcome Cantor Alberto Mizrahi of Anshianet.
your programs, you will find an English reading of a prayer I'm about to chant. Let's read it in English together. Prayer for the safe return of our kidnapped brethren. God of Israel, beneficent sovereign of all creation, enable us now to have true faith and to pray and to call out to you with plea after plea, so that our cry might rise to the very gates of mercy, to mercy itself. And all reality shall be turned around, so that relief, rescue, and life may be the lot of those young men. Yaakov Naftali ben Rachel Franco, Gilad Michael ben Bat Galim Sha'ar, and Eyal ben Iris Teshura Yifrach. Act on their behalf, O Lord, take up their cause without delay, and may you grant them life and blessing forevermore, so that may it be your will. And let us say, Amen. Ein Elohei Yisroel, Melech Sheracham V'Lekol Masor, Tinebon V'Ed Azot, Shetiye V'Nu Midat Emunah, V'Nitpalei V'Nitchanei Acharecha, Tchina Chal Tchina, Kedushiта L'Shavot V'Yinu, V'Tavu Ad Mekom Shara Chesed, Ad Nekudat HaChesed, U'Tapeich Et HaKol Leman Yavo Revach V'Yatzala, V'Chayim L'Ne'arim. Yaakov Naftali ben Rachel Franco, Gilad Michael ben Bat Galim Sha'ar, Eyal ben Iris Teshura Yifrach. Asay leman Eloheinu, Asay v'yalet yacher, v'yoshiem Elohisheinu, v'yatad anchileim chayim uvracha ad haolam, v'chein yehi ratzon, v'nomar
Hi, I'm Tori. And I'm Hannah Kaminsky, and it's our honor to read a portion of the statements of support we have received from our congressional delegation. The United States Congress has shown time and again our firm resolve to stand with our ally as Israel deals with threats to its people and peace. From Representative Aaron Schock.
As the mother of 3 sons, my deep felt thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the kidnapped Israeli students. From Representative Sherry Bustos.
I join with many in the 9th Congressional District and around the world in expressing my deep concern for the 3 Israeli teenagers who were abducted on their way home from school last week. My thoughts and prayers are with Eyal, Galid, and Naftali, who is also an American citizen, their families and friends, as we do everything we can to ensure their safe return. From Representative Jan Schakowsky.
As the father of 2 sons, I can't imagine the heartbreak experienced by these families as their children were taken while waiting for the school bus to return home. From Representative Rodney Davis.
I applaud the efforts of the Chicago community, and in particular, the 2014 JUF Lewis Fellows, young people not much older than the 3 kidnapped students, for organizing a community-wide vigil to express our unified support for the safety and return of the 3 boys, for their families and all of Israel. Let us all keep these captive boys,
their families, and their communities in our thoughts and prayers. And may we soon celebrate their safe redemption and reunification with their families. From Representative Brad Schneider.
I stand with the people of Israel and pray for the quick and safe return of these 3 young men. From Representative Dan Lipinski.
Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Endy Zeminides, Executive Director of the Hellenic American Leadership Council. He is a gifted leader in Chicago and a great friend to the Jewish community. It is my honor to invite Mr. Zeminides to offer remarks on behalf of the Greek American community of Chicago.
Chicago stands with Israel. Chicago's Greek community stands with Israel. I stand with Israel. 2 decades ago, my mom spoke what turned out to be the most true words I ever heard. Once you become a parent, you understand everything. And since these 3 boys were taken, as a father of 3, I understand everything. These 3 boys are not merely Israelis, they're not merely Jews, they're not merely American citizens, they're our boys. And we all want peace, but peace requires investing in children and not targeting them. Peace requires that we bring back our boys. So there may be a lot of things on the news, and I know we talked a lot about the young people, so whoever has a smartphone, take it out, go on your Facebook page, go on your Twitter page, go on your Twitter handle, do a hashtag, bring back our boys. Let the world know that you are here right now and you are calling for the return of the boys.
I am Shoshana Conover, a rabbi at Temple Sholem of Chicago. From a poem by Yehuda Amichai. Tefillah b'tzibur, public prayer, to request, give us peace, with wails and cries of despair, or to plead quietly and calmly. But if we plead quietly, God will think that we don't need peace and quiet. How many of us lit 3 extra Shabbat candles this past Shabbat? 1 for Gilad Sha'ar, 1 for Naftali Frankel, and 1 for Eyal Yifrach. Yet we know them by other names. We said these names in Shul this past Shabbat, in our public prayers. We know them also as Gilad Michael ben Bat Galim, Yaakov Naftali ben Rachel Devorah, Eyal ben Iris Teshura. We know them by their mothers. We know them by their fathers. We know them by their families, who privately are experiencing a horror we cannot imagine. I, as a mother, pray that I will never know that horror. So we are here at this vigil, not only to show the world that we stand by Israel, by these boys, by their families, but we also are here to show you, O God, that we pray to you. Bring your shelter upon them, shelter them with your peace. Bring them speedily home to safety. We pray to you not just in private, but here in public. Not quietly, but with wails we cry out, Tein lanu shalom, give us peace. Tein lahem shalom, give them peace. Bring back our boys.
like to call on Emily Berman, Deputy Director of Strategic Partnerships in the Office of Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and more importantly, a board member of JUF's Young Leadership Development.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dear friends, today we are gathered to stand with the people of Israel as we fight to bring back our boys and raise our voices to denounce those who kidnap innocent children. My thoughts and prayers are with the 3 Israeli teenagers and their families. May they be safely reunited with their communities soon. As you know, on June 12th, Eyal Ifrach, Gilad Sha'ar, and Naftali Franco were kidnapped while hitchhiking home. The freedom and future of every child is invaluable to the world and indelibly shapes us. Those boys and all children deserve safe, affirming spaces to grow into adults who serve as leaders, providers, thinkers, and truly inspiring forces that create, nurture, and fortify our society. I am deeply saddened by their kidnapping and fully support Secretary of State John Kerry's condemnation of such terrible events. The world aches every time children remain missing. I see my children in the faces of these 3 Israeli boys, and like any parent, my heart goes out to their families. No child should have to live in fear that one day they may not return home, and I offer my full support to Israel in its search for these missing teens. In the face of such a tragedy, I urge all Chicagoans to come together and pray for the safe return of these Israeli boys while assisting and supporting the greater Jewish community during this difficult time. Am Yisrael Chai, sincerely, Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
Our next speaker is the Honorable Roy Gilad, Consul General of Israel to the Midwest.
I would like to open with a vote of thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank the community that gathered here today. Some of you made a very long way. I know people came from the northern suburbs, from Skokie. Some of you came with public transportation. Some of you were walking here. Some of you rode buses. As a representative of Israel to the Midwest, I'd like to tell you that I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And the very clear and sound message that goes from here, from Thompson Plaza, goes directly to Jerusalem. I would like also to thank the organizers of this event, the Jewish United Front of Metropolitan of Chicago, the Greater Metropolitan of Chicago. Without your support all along the year, not only today, this event and many other events would not take place. You did it in a very short time, and I would like to thank you for that. Last but not least, there is a group here of Israeli Defense Forces, disabled veterans, P'tsuei Tzahal. Can I ask you to raise your hands, P'tsuei Tzahal? Fantastic community of the Jewish people in Chicago host this group every year, and those applause that we just heard should go to the hosts as well. So thank you very much for hosting this team every year. My friends, it is now 10 days and 21 hours since Eyal, Gilad, and Naftali left their yeshiva in Gush Etzion on their way home to spend weekend with their families. They never made it. The gathering here today is not political. It is to say, Eyal, Gilad, Naftali, you are our brothers. You are our sons. You were abducted by terrorists 6,000 miles east of here, but your abduction tore our heart apart, Jews and non-Jews alike. Talking about non-Jews, I would like again to thank my friend Annie Zamanides, and special thanks should go to Reverend Robert Cathy. What you heard came from your heart, what you said, and entered into our heart. We know that there are other Presbyterians. Thank you very much for being here today. It is times like this that brings the huge community who supports the state of Israel, Jews and non-Jews alike, together. This is the time to put aside all our political differences and say in a loud and clear voice, we are not willing to take it anymore. Nobody should accept a situation when 3 kids between the ages of 16 and 18 will be abducted by terrorists less than 10 miles south of Jerusalem and not to be seen since then. But it is also our responsibility to remind those of us who might forgot by now that this horrific abduction came only a few weeks after the Palestinian Authority signed the pact with the Hamas. While falling short of taking responsibility for the abduction, Hamas leaders expressed a lot of satisfaction, joy, and happiness about this horrific act of terror. We say to the Palestinian Authority, you need to make up your mind. Either you are willing to discuss with us on the basis of 2 states for 2 people, with all the hurdles, and we are facing together, and there are many hurdles, or you sign a pact with the Hamas. Doing both makes no sense. The Hamas calls for the destruction of any non-Muslim sovereign entity in the Middle East, let alone a Jewish sovereign state. Reaching an agreement with such a terror organization and at the same time trying to pretend as if things are as usual is a bluff. And today we need to call it a bluff. So from the Thompson Plaza at the heart of the great city of Chicago, we send a message of support to the families of Naftali, Gilad, and Eyal. You shall never walk alone. Your kids are our kids. Your brothers are our brothers. Your pain is our pain, and your hope is our hope. God bless you.
Let's all sing Hatikva together.
I can sing like that, and then I wake up.
We encourage everyone as you return home or to work